Hi everyone, you'll remember this. This is from, was it just last week, 10 days ago? This is Jeremy Corbyn in his speech producing redacted documents of a trade deal between the United Kingdom and the United States, which he said was evidence that our government, the Tory government, if they get in this election that's coming up next week and they get a majority, they're going to sell off the NHS to the US, which caused people much astir in the media. Well, the Telegraph, or Torygraph as I call it, they seem to think that this information came from a nefarious means. They seem to think it came from Russia. Corbyn's dossier points to Russians. Let's get into it. Hi everyone. So this is honestly, there were times when I have done videos over the past year or 2 years, and I think I can't quite believe our media are doing this. I can't quite believe they're doing it, and that people are actually buying it. But it seems that it really is the case. So this is the article. They've changed the they've changed the title of it. It was Leads to Russians, but now they've changed it to Labour told to come clean about how it obtained the leaked document, the government documents, after report leaks them to Russia. And remember, this is that leaked document there that was redacted. So this is what this article says. It's from Anna Mikhailova. Sounds very Russian to me. Are you employing Russians, Telegraph? Not British. Labour has been told to come clean over whether it has helped spread, quote, Russian disinformation during the election campaign. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Whenever information comes from Russia that's factual, they call it disinformation. But if it's information that comes from our government that's just totally not true and BS, that's information. We really do live in 1984. Jeremy Corbyn last week published a leaked dossier of classified information which he used to attack the Conservatives over the NHS, say the Telegraph, but refused to say how he got it. Okay? Must have come from Russia then. On Monday night, independent researchers said the documents carried the, quote, the spectre of foreign influence. Independent researchers. We'll get to who these independent researchers are in a bit. As they had been published online using methods that directly mirror an earlier Russian disinformation campaign. Was that information true? Does it matter whether it comes from Russia if it's true and it's in the public interest? Surely that's a journalistic outlet doing journalism. The fourth estate doing its job of holding power to account, doing the job of the media, like the Telegraph, which don't do their job. You see where I'm going. Senior Conservative MPs on Monday night, it continues, demanded that Mr. Corbyn explain how he obtained the documents amid fears that Moscow is trying to influence the election campaign. Yes, trying to influence the election campaign. Graphica, a social media analytics firm, worked with the Atlantic Council, here we go, here's those independent researchers, think tank, to uncover evidence showing that the way documents came into the public domain mirrored a disinformation campaign called Secondary Infection, uncovered in June. Okay, June they say. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn would not disclose the source of the leaked UK-US trade talk documents. It's interesting, that is. Interesting as to why Telegraph wouldn't need to know the source of that. I'll get to it at the end. Secondary Infection used fabricated or altered documents to try to spread false narratives online and stemmed from a network of social media accounts that Facebook said, quote, originated in Russia. Let me just explain to you something. I know a little bit about internet marketing, okay? And I want to just dispel any myths there. Originated from Russia. Okay, I've said I used to do Facebook marketing when I was an internet marketer. I had over 800 Facebook accounts that I ran through a automated software, bots you might want to call them. Every one of those accounts, every one of them originated in Russia. All of them. Apart from the ones I made myself, there were about 10 or 20 I think I made myself, but the rest of them all came from Russia. Russians used to sit there and just make Facebook accounts and then sell them on to people. So they didn't have to do the work. It cost less than, not next to nothing, 50 pence a pound, whatever it is. But often, they're Facebook accounts that were from back in 2010, 2012. So if you're buying an aged Facebook account, they last longer. They're less likely to get banned by Facebook as a bot. All of my accounts originated in Russia. All of them. Does that mean I'm doing the work of Russia? No. It means I'm using them for my internet marketing campaign, which is what the Internet Research Agency thing with the Russiagate was all about. I digress anyway, but whenever you say that Facebook said these accounts originated in Russia, you can bet your bottom dollar that this is an internet marketer who's bought them in bulk, like I used to, and everybody I used to know in internet marketing doing the same. That is rubbish. Then it comes on to Ben Nimmo, head of investigations at Graphica. Well, whoop-de-doo. Ben Nimmo is the independent researcher. Ben Nimmo of the Integrity Initiative. This is the Integrity Initiative, the Orwellian construct that I have talked about on my channel constantly. That's been set up literally to, it looks like, keep Corbyn out of power. Heaven knows what other stuff they're up to, but Ben Nimmo of DFR Labs and Graphica, as it says there, said, quote, it's on the same set of websites as a secondary infection. It's using the same types of accounts and making the same language errors. It's either the Russian operation or someone trying to look like it. The Graphica report seen by Ben Nimmo, by the way, everything I've ever seen him do, he concludes Russia. Everything. Russia. Everything he talks about, yeah, it's Russia. He's paid to come up with that conclusion. I'm going to read the rest of this story. Keep digressing. The Graphica report, seen by the Telegraph, states that the similarity to secondary infection are not enough to provide conclusive attribution, but are too close to be simply coincidence. They could indicate a return of the actors behind secondary infection or a sophisticated attempt by unknown actors to mimic. This is the Telegraph really laying it on thick here. Russia! Russia are trying to elect Corbyn. Bad Russia, bad Putin. Labour on Monday night refused to say how it obtained the documents which originally surfaced on the online discussion site Reddit. Okay. And would say only that, quote, releasing these documents was clearly in the public interest. Yeah, they've said that. They've made a point of that again. The Telegraph have. Refused to say how did attain. Look at their latest. Look at what Russians won't deny hackers leaked Jeremy Corbyn. Sorry, Russia won't deny hackers leaked Jeremy Corbyn's NSA documents. I'm going to come back to this because they are constructing this. They're constructing the whole thing, the whole story. Let me get to it. Labour refused to say how it had attained to the documents. Ian Duncan Smith, the former Conservative leader, said, if they are using disinformation? Has anybody said anything in that report is not factual? Really? So why the hell is that called disinformation then, if it's a truthful, accurate document? They love the word disinformation. If they are using, Ian Duncan Smith said this, quote, if they are using disinformation to fabricate their NHS scare stories, which are anyway not true, that speaks volumes about them. If there is any truth in this report, there's not, then there are very serious questions that need to be answered by Jeremy Corbyn and his team. Tom Tugendhat, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, said, quote, we know that foreign governments have tried to interfere in elections by leaking documents at moments that are convenient to them. Leaking documents, that's what they said. Russians, they've leaked this document. Oh, bad Russians. Okay, we'll come to that in a minute. Is this part of that pattern of behaviour, he said? A Labour spokesman said of the documents, quote, neither the UK or the US government have denied their authenticity. Exactly. So how the hell can you label them disinformation? Given what they reveal, it's not surprising that there are attempts to muddy the waters and cover up what has been exposed. Mr. Corbyn cited the documents in a letter to Donald Trump, quoting from them as he demanded the US president leaves the NHS out of any future trade deals with the UK. Donald Trump came over here since then, I believe, and you may have noticed he's calmed down his rhetoric on that. He's like, no, Brexit, no, not talking about Brexit, no, NHS not on the table, no, which flies in the face of what he said when Theresa May was standing next to him, and he was like, nothing's off the table, believe me, it's going to be awesome, tremendous. I'll continue with this article. Lisa Marie Nudar, a researcher at Oxford University's project on computational propaganda, said that if Russians were behind the leak, its aim may not be to help any particular sides in the election. She said, quote, "We know from the Russian playbook that often it is not or for or against anything. It's about sowing confusion and destroying the field of political trust." So what's the point in your article then? They do this all the time in these articles. You get down further down the bottom and there's somebody there who's debunking it. A Reddit spokesman said, "The integrity of our site is of paramount importance and we're investigating these findings." Graham Buckey, director of the Atlantic Council DFR Labs, Atlantic Council, funded by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. DFR Labs is a subsidiary of it, run by Ben Nimmo, who is also the guy who, up here, they call Graphica guy. Ben Nimmo, head of investigations at Graphica. See how incestuous it all is? They're creating their own fake news here. They're using something that has been plugged by the government in their Atlantic Council DFR Labs think tank. They come up with a Russia theory, Telegraph print it. There's a problem with that though. He said this at the bottom, by the way. I'll read the rest of this. Graham Buckey, director of the Atlantic Council DFR Lab, said, "Whoever did this was absolutely trying to keep it a secret. It carries the spectre of foreign influence." You can't quite see the last line, but trust me, that's what it says. And that's the end of the article. That's Graham Buckey. And as you can see there, Telegraph, Russia won't deny hackers leaked Jeremy Corbyn's NHS documents. So they're blaming something on Russia, and now they're saying, well, the Russians won't deny it. Well, if you won't deny something, that's confirmation of guilt. Isn't that a little bit stupid? Hey, it's the Telegraph. But, this will come as no surprise to you, what I'm about to say, because you know how I said that, saying all here, that it's all Russian. Russian governor. Russians leaked the report. Their own publication, the Telegraph, in July, the 10th of July, spoke about that report. They published information of that report, of what was in that report, way before the hackers released it. If it was hackers, we don't know that it was. But they had all the information. Does that mean the Telegraph is Russian disinformation merchants as well? They talked about this back in July. And now they're saying it's Russia it came from. Don't you see? They're manufacturing this narrative themselves. They have their people in DFR Labs, the Atlantic Council, funded by the government, prop them up, and then they go, okay, Telegraph, you write a story on it. One of their people in the Integrity Initiative clusters, probably. I haven't checked the names, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're in those files. Don't believe a word of this Russiagate nonsense. Don't believe a word of it. The only thing you need to know is there really is an information war right now going on. And it's serious. There really is an information war. But it's not between Russia and the United Kingdom or Russia and America. It's between the United States and the United Kingdom and their own people who they are lying to on the daily basis. That's where the disinformation is coming from our own government and their own prostitutes in the media. They reported on this back in July. Now Jeremy Corbyn, hey, he goes on stage and says, look at these documents. And the Telegraph says, Russia, Putin puppet. Can't you see? There's Russians everywhere. Don't let them meddle in our election. They installed Donald Trump. This is what they're saying. It's insane. And this is why we've got to support why you have got to support independent media. We've got to have a new fourth estate, replace these outlets like the Tory graft who are so embedded in the establishment you don't know where they begin and the Tory government starts. We've got to get rid of these propaganda constructs that are creating the media lies right now, the DFR labs and the Atlantic Council, and these people that the media pluck as some sort of valid source. They're not valid. They're creating their own lies and their own disinformation, treating you like mushrooms, keeping you in the dark as to what's going on, and feeding you on complete and utter bullshit. That's what the Telegraph is. Don't get me started on the Guardian. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. I will be back in an hour or two because there's the debate going on between Jeremy Corbyn and Boris Johnson. I'm going to cover that live, so I hope you join me for that. If you don't, I'll see you soon. Please support independent media. We really need it. We really need it. We need you to help make Orwell fiction again. Thanks very much for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you click the bell so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. I'll see you a little bit later on. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care.